You are listening to the CADDle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, the guy who talks way too much, and with me is my partner.
It's Rocco. I'm really tired today.
Rocco,
very tired.
You're tired? Not a problem. I know what'll wake you up. You know what'll wake you up? The engineering joke of the week. That'll wake you up.
Oh, no.
Hey, if nothing else, it'll give you a little bit of pain, and that'll get your heart pumping. All right. So here it is, Rocco. Engineering joke of the week, right? So you've heard this your whole life, right? Conventional wisdom says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. See, but engineers say, if it ain't broke, you should probably add more features. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, your engineering joke of the week. Terrible joke this week, but anyway, it's funny. I like it. It's terrible. You work with so many engineers over the years, you start to actually just laugh at these and think they're good. So what are we talking about today, Rocco? I know what we're talking about today. We're talking about customizing Bluebeam for your own needs, right? Kind of, what it really takes to make that happen. So look, folks, Bluebeam Revu, right? As regular listeners of the show know, it is one of my all-time favorite software systems, right? It's ubiquitous throughout the design and construction world, and it does so much more than most folks realize. I have to say, I'm always surprised at how many people who claim to use Bluebeam out there, but then when you talk to them, they're using it as a replacement for Adobe, right? It's a basic PDF reader. And honestly, that boggles my mind, particularly in the AEC world. Bluebeam is really, it's a fully developed, quantity takeoff estimating system, right? It's a large format construction document tool. It has built-in cloud collaboration and storage tools, right? And that's maybe 20% of what Revu can do. Look, if anyone out there who's listening falls into the category of thinking their Bluebeam is just another PDF reader that works with construction documents, look, please hit our website and YouTube channel and see what that system can really do for you guys. So now, look, I'm not trying to do a sales pitch on Bluebeam today, but I did want to talk about a particular feature in Bluebeam that can quite literally change the way that you work and bring just an insane amount of efficiency and savings to everybody's workflow, right? And that's the concept today that I want to talk about is customized review tool sets. And we've talked about this a time or two or three here on the show, but I don't think we've ever really gotten into the specifics of them, right? And why they're so important, regardless of what industry or what section of the AEC space you're working in. There are huge benefits here for everyone. And I want to get into the why and the how of building and using Bluebeam tools for everyone in your company. And I do mean everyone, right? From your receptionist to the CEO and every estimator, project super, engineer, and designer in between. Everybody gets benefits from these tools. To the king and queen. To the king and the queen. Everybody. Listen, I'm just saying, which of us is the king, which is the queen? Aha, stumped. Yeah, see? You didn't have an answer there. I'm just saying, I'm going to go for the queen because I put on a ball gown and I look fabulous. I'm just saying. I mean, I won't shave my legs, which is a little scary, but that's a whole other story. Nobody needs that visual. All right. So, look, man, we do a ton of work in sales in the Bluebeam space, Rocco, So what percentage of our users that you talk to and work with are effectively using review tool sets right now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, a low percentage, but there are some that are really good at it. They really got it down. And the key thing that we'll be talking about is that it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
It's not that people can't learn how to do it, but yeah, not many people are are building advanced tools. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I agree with that. A lot of folks who even are doing it are kind of doing it at a base level. All right, so look, I guess for the sake of the listeners here, let's start with the why of tool sets, right? By explaining what they can do. So for starters, you can build standard symbols and notes and measurement tools and legends and just about anything else that you can imagine into your tool set, right? And then you can distribute that across your entire company. Do you have PMs, right, who have to do regular plan or as-built reviews, right? And they need to add kind of like the same notes or the same callouts again and again to each file on every job. Bluebeam tools let you build those once, right? And then just, drop them onto your plan with a single mouse click. You just click the tool, drop it on the plan. Do you guys do space planning or rent books, right? How nice would it be to have a tool that you can just click on a button and outline, the appropriate group or agencies, rental areas, right? With the right colors and the right data appearing instantly. Okay, what about estimating, right? What about, a tool that could tell you, hey, how many electrical switches are there in this 80-story high rise across 100 different PDFs? Bluebeam tools will do all of that and a lot more. The tool symbols, they can be anything you want. Doesn't matter what you want them to look like, right? You're drawing symbols and features. And then you can add custom metadata to every tool, basic information about that tool, right? So that it can perform, calculations, and it can give you selection options from a drop-down list, or you can hyperlink it to other files. So they click on it, opens a different form, and just about anything else that you can dream of, right? So that means if you think about it, right, with that metadata, you can add to each tool, right? The make, the model, the manufacturer, what is the cost, what is our profit, what's the labor cost, what color is it, what finish is it, anything that you need, right? So that all your markups and estimates are providing data that you would normally need to enter manually into an Excel spreadsheet or after the fact. That data is there as soon as you drop one of your tool symbols onto your PDF. It's a really remarkable concept, and I've never seen another system that gives you this level of configuration capability, right? To easily make it the way you need it. Look, even high-end CAD systems, right, where blocks and metadata are common, they don't have the extended capabilities of the Bluebeam tool sets to easily make these things work exactly the way you want them to. Rocco, we do a ton, just an absolute ton of work helping people develop their tool sets in Bluebeam. But those projects, they almost always require a demo and a conversation to show people, what these tools can really do for their business. What's the general response we get when we show people the tool functions? And more importantly, what do you think is the big feature, the big thing we talk about that convinces people that they need these tools?
Yeah, I mean the general response is that they're impressed because it brings a high level of efficiency to what people can do. I mean, just the count features alone. Like I think about some of the electrical contractors that we work with. They're hugely impressed, and then when you add the quantity link feature to Excel, and the ability to be able to link that Excel file then back into other packages, it's it's hugely impressive to folks. So I think it's that level of automation. I mean, everybody always quicker, better, faster, right? Especially in this industry where we're short on personnel and have a ton of work. So that's where I'm looking at it from.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So look, folks, the great thing about this is that anybody, and I mean anybody, can learn to build Bluebeam tool sets for themselves. Even you, Rocco, even you. And that tells you something, folks. If I think even Rocco can do this, that means anybody can do it. I wouldn't trust Rocco to pick up a pencil usually, but fine. We'll tell him he can do the Bluebeam stuff if it makes him feel better about himself. So, no, I mean, honestly, it's something that doesn't require extensive tech knowledge or any ability to code at all. It really is as simple as, hey, you learn the process and then you just put in the time to build the tools and the properties that you need. And I will say, right, the properties are a bit harder than the symbols, right? But only because you kind of have to map out in advance how are you going to link, different formula items and build drop-down lists. You kind of have to know what items what your end product is, right? So there's a little bit more planning that goes into that. And look, we actually teach the basics, right, of tool set construction in a bunch of our training classes. We do it in our Bluebeam for estimating and our Bluebeam power users classes. So it's something that we do believe anybody can do. And right, I know you guys are listening, and that may seem odd for me to say, right? When, at the outset of today's show, I said that, hey, Zentech does a ton of work building these tool sets for people, right? Why am I telling you guys that you don't need us? Well, you really don't, quote unquote, need us. But a lot of people, like Rocco was saying earlier, they just don't have the time to invest in building these review tool sets for themselves, right? Or they don't even have the time to learn how sometimes, right? Some of us are just that busy. A lot of times it's just easier to hire somebody to handle it for you. It's like remodeling your bathroom, right? It's not really that tough of a thing, but who wants to spare the time and the aggravation to do that every weekend, right? It's just easier to get a contractor, or in this case, a consultant, in to do it for you, right? And I will be fair and say that a lot of smaller firms who are just looking to grab, they do a specific type of work and maybe they need a dozen tools, right? Most of those people will just get training from us and then they handle that process on their own when they can. And usually with no problems, right? It's really when you get into a larger scope tool set, that's when you get involved with an expert like Zentech, right? And we become worthwhile. Look, building a few simple takeoff tools, that's one thing, right? Like I said, anybody can do that. I think if you're going to be developing a few hundred or even a few thousand custom tools that handle advanced functionality, that can take months of full-time labor, right? Especially if it is not something that it's not your job focus. You don't do that every day. So that's where we kind of come in. All right. So, all right, I tell you what, so let's take a quick pause here to let our sponsors get a word in. And when we get back, I want to talk about the types of people we see really developing these Bluebeam tool sets the most. All right. So stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the CADDle Call podcast. All right, Rocco. So we are sponsoring ourselves yet again today. What is it we want to talk about?
We're going to talk about me today, Jim.
No one wants to talk about you. Not even you.
Oh, fine. Let's talk about Zentech Tech Blocks.
Awesome. I like Zentech Tech Blocks. Zentech Tech Blocks are prepaid support hours that let you call on Zentech's experienced technical staff to address all your support questions, problems, help you with workflows and standards, really anything you need on the technology side. We're here to provide the support you need so that your most talented people aren't being dragged into helping everybody else in your company instead of working on the billable jobs that you need them focused on. All right. So Zentech Tech Blocks are available in multiple sizes. We sell them in 5-hour, 10-hour, 20-hour, and 40-hour prepaid support blocks. And if you're interested and you need that sort of help, Rocco, how do they reach out to us?
Yeah, hit up our website, zentechconsultants.net. Give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
All right, Zentech Tech Blocks, the vital support that your people need exactly at the moment that they need it. All right, welcome back to the CADDle Call podcast, where we are talking about developing Bluebeam Revu tool sets and symbols to make your firm more efficient and profitable. And in the first half of the show, I kind of talked about why this was important, right? And in this half, I want to touch briefly on the how, and then get into what industries and trades we see investing heavily into this technology. All right, so let's start with the how, which really isn't easy to do on a podcast because it's more of a graphic thing. But essentially, all right, you use basic Bluebeam markup tools, right? You lines and polylines and arcs and text and circles and things, right, to create a simple graphic on screen, right? And most of us know how to do basic Bluebeam markups, right? So you're just drawing whatever symbol you need on screen. And like I said, you can use those tools to draw anything, right? From a catch basin to a steel section or a particular model of light switch. Any type of tool that you use or that you can imagine can be drawn on screen. And once all of those tool pieces, right, have been drawn, you use the group function in Revu to join them together as a single object, right? Just like you would do with a block in any CAD system. And from there, you can build a tool set on your tool set side panel in Revu, and you call it whatever you like, right? So if you're doing, drawing out some copper pipe and some fittings, you just create a tool set called copper pipe and fittings. And then you can just right click on your grouped tool that you made and select the add to tool chest option, right? And you put it into the appropriately named set. So your copper fittings, you just right click, add to tool chest, it goes into the copper, pipe and fittings tool set, right? Simple, right? That's all there really is to it at the basic level. And from there, you can start to define custom columns, or what we have been calling metadata, to start handling all of your pricing calculations, labor costs, drop-down lists, finishes, right? Connection types, right? And so on, anything that you need. And look, that one's hard to explain here on the podcast because it does take a bit more effort than the symbols. But honestly, it's really not an insurmountable task to learn how to really work with those custom columns. It just needs a little bit more care and attention and someone to work with you to show you the first time. So, Rocco, how do most folks make out when they start building their own tool sets, right? Do we see a lot of problems with that, or do most people turn out okay when they do it on their own?
It depends on the user, right? I mean, we've seen some folks who are pretty advanced with Bluebeam and build some pretty sophisticated tools, and
sure,
so it's like you say, it's not impossible. It's just time consuming, and and then there's people that struggle with it, but it's it's all over the map. It's all, but there's definitely, I mean, I'm thinking of a good number of folks that have really built some pretty sophisticated sets of their own.
Yeah, I mean, not too long ago, we worked with one guy who actually we sold him Bluebeam. He'd never used it before, so we sold him for his company. We sold him to start, I think, like 3 or 4 seats of Bluebeam, nothing major. And I talked to him and I showed him the very, very basics of tool sets. And then we talked to him like a month later, and he had just jumped into it like a fish in water, man. He's like, this program is amazing. And he had built himself, like 300 tools, and probably he had, using advanced fields and properties. It depends on the time that you have available and how much effort you want to put into it. So yeah, it can definitely be done. I don't think there's anybody who would be excluded from working this way. All right, so look, we've said before, right? Bluebeam is in daily use by like 85% of construction companies here in the U.S. And over 50% of all the architecture and engineering, all the design firms. So there has been just an absolute ton of work for us here at Zentech in developing these Bluebeam tools for these different industries. Construction people, we find in particular, right, have been moving their estimating processes away from like very focused industry specific tools that can sometimes be limiting. They're moving their entire estimating processes into Bluebeam, because Bluebeam is, it's because everybody has it, it's easy to share the files, there's nothing proprietary about it, and it works really, really easily for most estimating you guys are ever going to do. So they're moving their estimating processes in there with these tool sets, right? Kind of pre-building all their parts and takeoff parts that they need. Like I say, part of it with Bluebeam is that it's easy to use and the tools can be customized. But I think a large part of it is also that construction people never have anything to work off of other than the PDF files, right? And I'm sure you guys have all heard, right? There's all kinds of talk from all the CAD systems, right? To, you can estimate and you can do takeoff in CAD and off the, the BIM model, and it's just too complex and way too time consuming for most construction firms. Software companies love the idea of these, extended collaboration workflows and such. But at the end of the day, work needs to be done quickly and accurately without your end users needing a PhD in software engineering, right, to get it done. Right? And that's why I think Bluebeam shines kind of in the construction world the way that it does, right? And the tool sets, that we build there tend to fall into kind of 2 distinct arenas. There are the quantity takeoff estimating tools, right? And then there are kind of the general markup and review tools that are in use by senior management. So that's what we see in the construction space. I mean, in the AE space, we do less work, I think, in that area, right, for architects and engineers, because most of those people already have CAD systems. It's their primary working tool, and they aren't really in need of another set of tools to do counts and measurements, right? They know how to do that with CAD. That's their primary work tool. I think we really only get involved with A&E firms when they're big enough to be working on IPD, or integrated project delivery jobs, right, where they are partially responsible for construction budgets, and they have to work very closely with the GCs and owners and go back and forth and changes and updates and pricing, because that, the PDF is still the easiest way to communicate and keep track of all those changes and the details in a graphic manner that everyone, right, from the owner who has zero tech to the construction guys who are crazy busy, everybody can access and understand those. So, Rocco, when you talk to our A&E clients, do they have specific reasons why they don't always move forward with those Bluebeam tool projects, or do they just see it as something they don't really need?
No, I think what you just outlined makes sense. I mean, they certainly love Bluebeam, but it's they tend to use it more from the markup and collaboration standpoint. A lot of them use Bluebeam Studio and love Bluebeam Studio. It's a great inexpensive collaboration and storage tool, but they just don't, like you're saying, the takeoff and estimating capabilities are within the CAD platforms.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, in terms of, Bluebeam tools and tool sets, there are actually two industries that, here at Zentech, we have just seen growing crazy fast into this arena over the past couple of years. And those are, first, the manufacturing industry, and the second is the government space. And honestly, that has been a really big surprise for us. But I will say that those two industries are probably accounting for better than half of the work we do in the Bluebeam market here at Zentech now. For people in the manufacturing space, it is about developing their product lines as distributable Bluebeam tool sets, right, that they can give to their clients and to their salespeople and to their designers, right, and to A&E firms to speed up the layout and the costing and estimating process. And honestly, for them, it also helps to boost sales for them dramatically, right? Since what they do is they'll take the review tools and they'll post them on their website, right? So that the GCs and the designers can download and use them for free, right? That means that all of their, specifications, the pricing, their ordering, their spec data, it's all included on the initial design layout, right? And from what they tell us, that means that they are almost 3 times as likely to close a sale because they're already the specified product, right? When people put out estimates and reports from Bluebeam using their tools, all of that manufacturer's data and information and pricing and so on and ordering, it's all included as part of the Bluebeam tools that you gave these people for free. So it's already there. So it is just that much easier for, the GCs and the end users to just, leave it be and order that product. Here's all the information. I don't have to do anything other than accept that. And that's what we're going to roll with. And Zentech, we've been working with some of the largest building product manufacturers. We call them BPMs, right? Building product, the guys who make, windows and doors and light switches and pipe and thing, for the construction world. We've been working with some of the biggest ones in the world to build out entire catalogs of products as intelligent Bluebeam tools, right? So look, chances are if there is a big name BPM who has Bluebeam tools on their site, chances are Zentech built those. So that has been huge for us. The other arena that is just absolutely going through the roof right now is government, which I would not have expected, but that's what's been happening. There has been this massive push to integrate intelligent data about government-owned, operated, and leased spaces and the equipment that they own and control in those areas over the last few years, right? There's been a huge push at this at the government level. There's a level of facility management that is vital to asset managers and boards of education and public facilities and controls that has been missing for a long time, right? It's not that the tech hasn't been there. It's just that, high-end facility management tools like FM systems or ArcGIS, they are really, really expensive. And they require a secondary CAD system to run on top of, which is also expensive. And you need extensive training to use them. And to be honest, you really actually, to customize and get it to do what you want, you need to hire really expensive consultants to design and administer those advanced systems. It's, in a lot of ways, it's overkill for what a lot of people need. So they've avoided it and just kind of made do with hand counts and people doing things, but in a basic CAD system and doing a lot of manual calculations. Because your general government engineer they don't have that level of skill and technical capacity or time to really learn those high-end facility management systems inside and out the way that they would need to. All right, so what we're seeing more and more is that the answer is, once again, Bluebeam Revu with custom tool sets. And we have just been doing, a bunch of work developing, space and lease area tools, access control systems, equipment pieces with tracking numbers, and, Bluebeam space callouts so that, the government administrators, they can easily see, right, how many of a particular piece of equipment do we have in that building, right? On what floor is it? What room are they in? Okay. Why doesn't it match up with our inventory? We're supposed to have 13. I'm only seeing 12, right? There's somebody took something, right? That's the kind of stuff they're really looking to be able to do. And when you couple that capacity with Bluebeam's native ability to kind of create intelligent links right onto these tools, right? We can use those Bluebeam tools and we can tie them to, service records, right? For repair. When was this last updated and repaired and worked on? Right? Inventory schedules, right? Cut sheets, specifications, anything that you can imagine about all of those tools and features inside those buildings. And you can put together a really, really robust and easy to use facility control workflow for really a fraction of the price of what you'd be paying to implement one of those, high-end FM CAD systems. And the other thing, just to kind of throw it out there, we've done a lot of dashboard work for governments in Bluebeam, right? One central dashboard that connects to all of their facilities, all their controls, all their data. They can post online or on an intranet and have everybody go to it without having to browse through systems, right? But we have discussed dashboarding on other podcasts already, right? So I won't get into that today. But I'll tell you guys, go ahead and look through some of our past episodes of the CADDle Call podcast. Look for dashboarding. It is something that everybody should look at. I think it's a brilliant process. All right, so I think that kind of gives you guys the idea of what you can do with Bluebeam tool sets. It's something that all of us should look into, no matter what type of work we do. And of course, if you need help, you can always ring our phone and wake Rocco up from one of his 4 daily naps, right, Rocco?
5.
5. That was 5 is when I'm doing the talking on the podcast. That's when he takes his 5th nap. All right, folks. With that, we'll get out of here and let y'all get back to your day, and we'll catch you next time on the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.